What's up? The markets are up. Surprise. Now, who here is surprised that the markets are up today? Anybody? Somebody? Just out of curiosity. Okay. You can't be wrong. So don't be embarrassed to participate if you're not sure. It's okay. You can take a guess. This is not, we're not grading the test. Okay. I bought Friday when they were down. Not surprised. Coming back tomorrow. There you go. Okay. I said they would be up. Well, I actually said that they would, if they, whatever they did, I would do the opposite. Okay, if it was big enough, and it was big enough, and I did look for some short positions that I traded back and forth. Obviously it has no effect on what the algorithms are telling me to do. I do, that's just separate trading. And we had a nice little monster start to the week in our live day trading. That was pretty good. And of course, listen, right now, the markets are still in an uptrend. We're split, right? And some of the ETFs have split, but today will not change the futures and the S&P and the NASDAQ. So, you have to understand that when you get these very big moves in any direction, okay, they're going to usually have some mean reversion. Okay. That gas has been a surprise the whole time. Okay. But obviously, well, not obviously, but there is all predictions for a mild winter, which would help keep the price down. Okay. So that could be part of the story. Again, I don't care about news. Obviously, we've already solved and cured the Omicron virus that caused the big rift on Friday, supposedly. But of course, we all know that's a bunch of horseshit. Excuse me. Okay, that had nothing to do with it. It just the sellers got a hold of it, and once they get it going, they usually don't stop. Okay, because you especially into a Friday, you got panic. You got people are worried about the weekend. You know how it goes. I mean, it's been that way forever. What do you say, Ash? How you doing? And so, we were much higher, but interestingly enough, the Russell was lower today. It was down much more, actually, made a big comeback. The Dow actually got back down almost to unchanged and made a big comeback. Okay, again, but it doesn't matter. I mean, it's understanding what markets are supposed to do. What up there, sir? How are you, John? Okay. Markets are going to do certain things almost easily. Okay. And, it's understanding that, not being afraid to do either side of the trade when it happens. Okay. Those of you who hedge know our lean is what? Always to be buyers, because we know the statistics of markets and what they do over time. But it doesn't mean that it would have been today, but it was certainly buying into the big break was not a bad idea on Friday, because certainly what's the worst that could happen? You lose a little bit of money, but probability stated that there was a good chance you could see a pop, and you did. Okay. I would suggest the only thing that surprised me, okay, the only thing that surprised me today was that they never gave in, and they opened higher and never gave up. I mean, there was moments, but basically, but it's not a surprise. I mean, again, it's just, I laid out two scenarios and they kind of came through. But look, I'm not looking for a pat on the back. I'm just, again, sharing that, having an understanding of what we expect. Okay. And trading what we expect, because too many people let their emotions play out. Okay. And you couldn't have felt very good on Friday with your IRA, your long-term portfolio. Okay. But, again, it's understanding that's not a big deal, that's just part of markets. We only think the market should go straight up. It's just like the jackass pundits who always talk about the high frequency traders. And, you know, I guess in this world, high frequency traders are only short. They don't buy. But you never hear them make the comment when the markets are going up. They only talk about it when the markets are going down. Isn't that amazing? Don't you find that amazing? I do. I find that fascinating that high frequency traders are only sellers. They're never buyers. Okay. So, you know, look, you had a blow off to the downside on Friday, and it looks like you had a little bit of a blow off to the upside today. And certainly I will tell you that I will be leaning, you know, a gap higher tonight if we get one. Okay. And you'll be here with me and we'll see if something happens. But depending on where they are tomorrow or tonight, later, I mean, I would consider taking a short position. I mean, this looks like we're getting into a little bit more chop. We don't typically talk volume very often because it isn't normally that important. And it's not important today. However, the fact that we reached potential blow-off status again today, and that we're in very high volume, and which is, you know, a little bit unusual for based on what we've seen. But again, you know, we talk about the VIX all the time, and I said to my Saturday options folks, I said, you know, you don't want to see these big spikes in the VIX. Why? Because more often than not, they're going to get creamed. And look what happened. The volatility got creamed. Okay. Look, that's not a surprise. Okay. Anytime you see a straight up spike, you can pretty much assume some reversion. The markets don't, you know, we are not in, oh, my brother's here early today. What's up, my brother?
I'm here. So I've got to apologize in advance. I'm going to mute myself every time I have to sneeze.
Okay. I'm sorry to say you're still sick. So I will make sure.
I'm not sick. I just have a bad head cold. It's
well, you know, whatever. I
brutal.
will arrange.
Brutal. It's brutal.
I will arrange for a ride tomorrow.
No. I'm picking you up because I have to do something before. So what time? You'll tell me later.
I will let you know later. Anyways, so anytime you have a major spike in volatility, it's not going to hold usually. The gradual trends will hold, but the spikes typically don't, because remember, as the markets have evolved over the years, the flow of information, the flow of what we do has become much faster. Okay. So you don't get that many surprises. So when you see like a major down move, which we saw the VIX up almost 10% on Friday, okay, you can assume that there's a bigger sell-off coming.
10 points, not 10%.
I apologize, it was 30%. Okay, yeah. You can assume that's going to fail, and it always does. Go back in history, look at any major spike in volatility. Every one of them fails. Okay, because that is driven by emotion. Okay, and it's not the fear index that everybody claims it to be. It is simply an options indicator. But what happens is the number one strategy is always call buying. That's always number one. Now, call buying does not necessarily mean bullish. Call buying is very simply either they're bullish or it's part of a bigger position, and it is actually they're creating a synthetic position with the buying of calls. But the number one other strategy, which is always right near the top of the list, is naked put selling, because people go, well, let me sell the naked put because I want to own the stock anyways, which is a terrible strategy. But for the purpose of this discussion, okay, so what happens is those people decide, I better cover. And then, of course, then you get put buyers that are coming on top. So the pundits want to make it the fear index, although it's really just an indicator of options that are being bought to open versus sold to open. And Mr. Heck, what's up, my brother? What's going on? So I know you get a little head cold, but what's your take of the Omicron virus solved over in 2 days? They did even faster than COVID this time.
Yeah, look, you know, this happened on what is typically the thinnest day, one of the thinnest days of the year, the day after Thanksgiving, holiday shortened day. They pushed oil down. It seemed very manipulated. You know, earlier in the week, he released 50 million barrels. Oil went down 13%. The bottom line is, I'm sorry. I think it was all a lot of BS what happened on Friday.
Okay. Well,
A
I mean,
lot
I
of
have to
BS.
think,
But, hey, could it be? Listen, we both know a correction is overdue.
I think it was,
Taxes are
I
going
think it
up.
was actually,
Interest
I think
rates.
it was actually a solid sell-off. And again, the volume on a short day, the volume was the biggest of the day, of the week, the biggest of the
Well, in stocks, yes. In stocks, yes. In oil, I think it was bull.
oil. Look, at oil was certainly was overdone.
Yeah.
But speaking of oil, what is your take of us tapping the reserve and giving the oil to India and China?
Every time I've seen that, and I've been trading oil aggressively since the early 80s, every time I've seen an SPR release, I blink my eyes, and 2 months later, the price is much higher.
Right. I mean,
that's just what I've seen.
Well, let me ask you a question. Is this not one of the dumbest things ever? Because it's not going to help you at the pump. Okay, you went through that last week about the taxes that we pay and all the other stuff. And
by the way, 50 million barrels is 3 days of U.S. consumption.
We gave it away. We sold it to somebody else.
Right. It's nothing. It's nothing.
So don't they have to refill that reserve?
Well, I will tell you what we have to do, what it's going to make. It's going to make OPEC. OPEC Friday was a gift for OPEC, because now Moscow and Riyadh can say, oh, you know what? Not only are we not going to taper our production cuts, but we're going to discontinue them because we're worried about the new variant, and they're going to stick it to Biden again.
Well,
it was a stupid move. By the way, it was a stupid move. He asked them twice to increase production. Twice they said no. Then he took 50 million barrels out of the SPR, sold it abroad. And, hey, let me tell you, can oil go down to $60? Absolutely. Can it go to $50? Nothing's impossible in these markets.
No.
3 months, you got seasonality in oil now. I'm very comfortable being short oil now on rallies. I have no problem with it. But what I will tell you is we will be long oil, and oil will trade at $100 a barrel in 2022. That I'm pretty sure of.
I agree. I'm agree with you 100%, unless they make the one change which they have to make, which is very unlikely. Okay.
Which is what? Start pumping U.S. oil.
Become the exporter of oil and quit with the nonsense.
There's two hopes of that. No hope and Bob hope.
No, I understand that. But I'm saying to you that the way that they handled the entire situation was dumb. Okay, forget about
that's exactly right. That reserve is for national emergencies, not price issues. And every administration who've used it for price has gotten slapped in the face. He likes to get slapped in the face. He gets slapped in the face constantly.
And furthermore, I always ask. I've asked this question to everybody 1,000 times. It's fine to want to get to green energy, but at what cost? And you can't do it as fast as they did. And of course, Biden
decade process, Bubba.
Biden and it took right after Obama, who shut down the coal mines basically in one day, which is another dumb thing to do, because you can't just shut an industry down and hope that it's going to work out.
What do they care?
I understand they don't care. Listen, they didn't care during COVID as they were taking raises in Congress, so they obviously don't care. But it's just interesting that if you want to solve the inflation problem and a lot of the debt problem, open up the fracking, open up the shale producing, sell it abroad, because certainly I guarantee you'd have a pretty big customer in the UK and in Germany.
Your only hope for that is in 2024.
Right. It's slim to none, and none, and Slim just left town, right?
Right. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. But you know what? It's all beautiful. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
We have the cleanest water and the cleanest air in the world in this country. Believe me, I've been all over the world.
Right.
I mean, maybe in Switzerland it's a little cleaner. Maybe in Iceland and in Greenland, and in
I'll help you out there. Of any major population, we are by far. I mean, there's not even a close second. And you and I have said this almost every week. China and India are never going to stop burning coal until they find a cheaper alternative.
And forget China and India. Go down to Mexico City. Go to Sao Paulo, Brazil, and take a look at the air quality there. We are wonderful in terms of air quality. Wonderful. And climate change, whatever you think about that whole argument, the bottom line is 1% of cars in the US are EVs. Everything is gasoline powered. And
Right.
that's not going to change for decades. And you know what?
Well,
We
we
have
know
to
it's
be
not gonna change. Who can
self-sufficient.
afford the new cars?
We want the criminals in the Middle East to dictate our oil prices. I mean, how stupid is that?
Well, what about the criminals that are in here that are stealing it up to 1,000 a day with no charges?
No, well,
I mean, listen, the only way we can solve this is we got to get a cork for every cow so that they can't fart. Okay, because that pollutes the air, and we're consuming more food, so there's more cows now.
the cow farting girl has been she's been very quiet lately.
Yeah.
I
So
think she's looking. The progressives have had a rough time. They didn't get the budget they wanted. They didn't get the Fed chief they wanted. So watch, they're going to turn against Biden and Harris.
oh, that's without question. You said that last week. 100%. Look, he did for once. He did do the right thing because at least, as I said last week, it's the devil we know. Okay,
Right.
and I don't like him, and I don't like what he
great
does.
move.
But it was the right move for
No,
us.
the right move is eliminating the entire central bank, but you're not going to do that.
Right, but I mean the correct move for the average American was to keep him in
Oh,
place.
absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely. Not a question, not a doubt.
right. I mean, again, we know where they want to go, and again, everything comes back to this UBI, universal basic income. You can bet on it. Okay, and now with the, obviously we're not talking about it here yet, but there's been a couple of countries that have shut down again, and now the travel bans again. For what? Okay, and I've said for years there's going to be another revolution here.
I mean, by the way, I saw the reports on this. They say that this is, it's very infectious, but the results are a lot milder. Did you see that?
I did not, because me, I'm illiterate. I don't read.
Right. No, they said that the actual virus itself is a lot milder. So if it's milder, it's like a cold. I don't get it.
Obviously,
listen, I've gotten colds periodically throughout my life. I'm sure you have too.
Never.
You never got a cold?
Yeah, I get
a sinus infection. Come on.
I get a cold. I gotta forget the flu. Who knows? Whatever I get, I get.
Right. Right.
It's interesting though.
Oh, Connie's back. I hope she's feeling good.
She is back today, but she's not quite ready to be the note taker yet. But
I hope she's feeling good.
She is ready. She is ready to. She gets one more week actually gets 2 more weeks of recuperation, so she should be ready to rock and roll by then.
Right. We won't be here next week, but we hope everyone will be with us.
And by the way, I sent her chocolates, from you and me, and they went to the wrong house because I had the wrong address because it was never updated. So, oh, you are taking notes. Okay. Oh, thank you. Okay. I had a replacement for you.
I probably have Omicron right now. Well, I still have my taste buds, so that's good. I can taste my yogurt that I'm eating for lunch now. And,
so any thoughts of anything? I mean, oil bounced. Oil actually got hammered pretty good from the highs, right? It was down $3 from the highs.
Listen, I've said it a million times. I say it again. Oil takes the elevator shift to the downside when it comes down. But if you really look at the long term, you look at the weekly chart in oil, the thing looks fine until $61, $62 a barrel on a long term basis. We're also in a seasonally weak part of the year. Hey, I know a lot of people drove on Thanksgiving, but gasoline, it's heating oil now. It's not gasoline. People are going to put less mileage on over the coming months. And the futures markets always look to the coming months. So This is not a surprise. This is not a surprise. It's a seasonally weak time of the year.
And it is. And by
the way, why would you release crude oil from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve at a seasonally weak time? Does anyone in the White House or administration or Congress actually understand the oil market? I don't think so.
They don't understand anything.
I don't think so. By the way, OPEC knows you don't increase production during a seasonally weak time of the year. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make economic sense. It's ridiculous. The whole thing is so stupid. To me, it's just comedy of errors.
Connie's back. She's already yelling at me that I should have known her address, but it was your fault because you didn't update your address. but what can I tell you? I'm sorry. I tried to do the right thing. I tried to do what I promised I would do. But what am I going to do? Okay. Well, I have it in file. Why would I ask? Anyways, I was surprising you. You went through such a tough time. I was trying to do the right thing. Anyways, so anything that you see that of interest, we know the political situation sucks, so that we don't have to talk about. Anything that you have in your mind, any bitches, anything to talk about?
Yeah, the dollar keeps going higher, which is fine, but the dollar is a mirage.
Were
It's
you
a mirage.
surprised that the dollar did not rise on Friday with the big sell-off?
Well, the dollar rose a couple of days before. I mean, the dollar's been making new highs every day.
Right. No, we're long it, so that's a good thing.
Yeah. Now Friday was a funky kind of day. I mean, the day after Thanksgiving is always a funky. These holiday areas are always funky. I always used to tie my hands behind my back on days like that when I was trading big proprietary positions because I didn't want to get sucked in, you know?
Yeah. No, I get it. Look, this administration is as dumb as you can get, and this doesn't just go to these guys. I mean, you can go administrations in general.
Well, I'll tell you, here's a. I've traveled a lot, you know, and I've met with a lot of people, central bankers and producers around the world, consumers of commodities, you know, pretty high-heeled people. And never in my life did I go to a country and put on a fake accent of that country. I couldn't believe that Harris went to France and spoke to them in a fake French accent. I think that's unbelievable.
Well,
by the way, that's very insulting.
Yes, it is.
It's very insulting. And it shows a real lack of kind of world knowledge.
It shows any lack of decorum and a lack of having any
manners.
How to be in the system.
Basic manners. You know, we do have this reputation abroad as ugly Americans, uncultured. You know, a lot of people in the UK and in France and in Europe, you know, by the way, you know what? They're absolutely right when she does that kind of garbage. It was ridiculous. That was ridiculous to me.
I mean, look, again, I don't want to pick on Biden. 86 million people voted for him, but he's dumb. Okay, that's all. He was always dumb. It's not new. And they do not do a good job at taking care of our country. We have weakened our nation dramatically over the past 12 months. Okay. So you can take that for what it's worth. And I'm not going to get into the discussion. I don't care. You know, I had my sister over for Thanksgiving, and we got into a discussion. I am banned from my mother of talking politics when my sisters are over. Okay?
Well, that's a good thing. Don't talk in family. Don't talk politics with family. I never do. And yes, Johnson is no better. Right. I agree, but you know, he is his own man. But you know, you want to hear something really funny? When I was running the gold business, the precious metals business for Solomon, and I was living in London in the early 90s, I think it was. Yeah, late 80s, early 90s. The guy who had the same position as me for Credit Lyonnais Rouse was a very interesting guy. And he was always, I was friendly with him. I used to go out with drinks with him all the time. He was a very interesting guy. You know who he was? Nigel Farage.
Oh, yeah, Nigel.
Yeah.
I know Nigel.
He was always, you Americans, you know, it was very interesting.
I've been there please, guys, don't argue about politics in the site. I don't like Biden. I don't care, but it doesn't matter. A Trump stopper. I could argue that Trump was a great president. So this is not a political event. We're not going to get into it. And please don't get into it in the chat room either. Okay, please. I don't want to see it because
I'm not commenting.
No, not you. I'm talking. I can see some.
Yeah, whether I agree with Nigel Farage or anything like that.
I like Nigel.
Saying he's a very interesting guy.
Very interesting, but so
he's who he's like. He was like the AOC of the UK during Brexit.
Can I finish my? So anyways, something I asked one question, and it was about nothing else. We were talking about COVID. I just gotten my booster, okay, and so I just asked. I said, should it be mandatory or no? Because I'm really not sure. I don't know what the right answer is. Okay, And, of course, my sister, yeah, oh, yeah, gotta be. I go, okay, whatever. I go, you're entitled. And then we got into one more conversation, and I said, she says, COVID's killed a lot of people. I said, it has, but I assure you that we know factually that some of the deaths were really not related to COVID, number one. And number two, when you look at the statistics and numbers only, not my opinion, it is not that much more than the flu. But if the flu was in the paper every day and on the news every single day, it would be a big deal. Okay. So, and then all of a sudden, all hell broke loose. And I said, listen, I'm sorry, I shut up. I don't mean to, I was only quoting a statistic, not an opinion. But of course, you can't talk to those people about statistics either, because it doesn't matter. Statistics don't mean anything to those people. So anyways, do you have any bitches, my brother, or did you already make it?
I made it. I don't have too many bitches today. My only bitches that I can't. My nose is stuffed.
The only bitches that you can't see your grandchild now, you're sick either.
Well, that's okay. I'm not getting my grandchildren sick.
Right, as I said, but you had a nice trip to Chicago, so that was good. But
yeah, that was
actually Indiana. But anyways,
but we won't be here next Monday. I hope everyone's going to be with us.
I got a slide for it. Relax. Okay. I got it. Okay. So in the meantime, look, the markets are the markets. And this is one thing you always have to remember. Okay. The markets do what they're going to do. And they are absolute, because at the end of the day, when they close, that's the price. Okay. So you can make it up to be anything that you want it to be. But at the end of the day, when the market's closed, that's the price. And if you lost money, you lost money. And if you lost too much money, you're out of business, that's your problem. And that's why you have to understand the functions of the market. And it was almost automatic that they were going to open higher last night. Okay, now,
yes. I mean, that didn't surprise me at all. I expected that.
And if it didn't open higher and they cracked them, which was the other side of the coin, okay, then that was a buying opportunity. Okay, remember, when this is in my eyes, okay, from a trader standpoint, it has nothing to do with our algorithms, it has nothing to do with the trends. From a pure trader's outlook, this market looks like it should be sold when it reaches a level of resistance at a high speed. Okay, that's all. Okay, and it should be traded, it should be defended, you should not be taking enormous risks, nor should you be liquidating your longer term portfolios. This is purely a trading market now. And I think that's the thing I'm trying to get to, Andy. I think we're getting into more of a trader's market now, as we've seen. Now, again, it's only 2 days, and 2 days certainly doesn't tell a story. Actually, the last week, we've had much better volume. And it's not the volume that makes it better, but it's the fact that now there is more activity and more opportunities to potentially trade the markets. So when you see a dramatic sell-off, okay, and if it follows through into the next morning, you can almost bet you better be buying, because what's going to happen is all the people that get short all the time into the bottom, okay, they're going to look after the selling's over, they're going to look around and say, wait a second, nobody else is selling, they're not going down anymore. That can't be right. And certain enough, they're going to spin and rip your face off. Okay. And you've seen, how many times have you seen that before?
Oh, I see it all the time.
I mean, it happens all the time, is exactly right. And you just have to be prepared. That's all. And having an understanding of how the markets work in general, you get a huge blow off one way or the other. And most likely there's going to be a retracement back. This morning we traded crude oil. Okay. We had crude oil and we managed it perfectly. We made $1,600 on one contract of crude oil in 15 minutes. Okay.
Right. You got short, right?
We got short.
Yeah.
Okay. At the top, we had a blow off signal. Yeah, I'll show you the signal. Actually, I can show it because it's still here. Okay. I just got to go back to where it was. It was right at about, let's see, on this chart, it will be, oops, this is crude here though. I have to go to the right chart though. On this chart, it would be about 645 right here. We got short right here. Okay. On a blow off trade at the time. Okay. And we rode it all the way down until we got a buy signal, which is now we turned around and bought it. Okay. So my point is that this is the same pattern that will appear under any time frame, because at the end of the day, All charts are the same. All patterns repeat themselves. And the only thing that you have to know is that the shortest time frame has to resolve into the longer time frame, and a trend itself cannot change until it starts changing in the 1 minute, the 5 minute, the 10, and all the way back until it reaches the daily. Okay. But when you get these trading opportunities that will appear now, if we continue with what we're doing, which is wild swinging days up and down, and we continue with the kind of volume, it will create opportunities to trade for those who like to be a little bit more active. Any thought to that, my brother?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, these are good trading markets, but just, when you approach from the trading perspective, you got to approach with a plan, and you can't allow that trade to become an investment. That's the cardinal sin.
Andy said he's got no real bitch today, so I'm gonna leave it at that. So, Mr. Eck, you mentioned it already. The dollar, a little bit of a pullback on Friday, which was kind of shocking, but you had said it. It rallied and made new highs, recent highs, all the way up. And here we are, came right back down to support at 96, which was the support we said. And it looks like it's 96 to 97 and probably going higher.
Got a little too steep. Maybe that's why, Bubba. You say it all the time. When the trajectory gets too steep, it can't keep going.
That's true.
And that's kind of, especially in a managed market like the dollar.
You mean a crooked market?
Like well, it's managed. Managed, crooked, same thing. But the point is, all these fiat currencies are losing value, the dollar as well. And, I'm not surprised. But I think, this thing still looks very, very bullish.
Oh, it looks very strong. And right here, if I were, the dollar is not the active. If you're going to trade in the currency market, the dollar is not the product you want to trade actively. But if I were looking to trade it, I'd be a buyer at 96 with my eyes closed.
Yeah, I'd be a buyer right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
So, but again, remember, okay, so it's 96, 97, Connie. But remember, okay, that this is a product that trends like everything else. Again, everything has a trend. And I don't care if you're in a department store. They look at their charts for trends as well. That's how they do their buying. Okay. Or selling. That's how they have their sales. So everything is exact because that's how they bring in the numbers, because all a chart is a measure of price and time anyways. Okay. So 96 to 97 looks great. You were 100% right. The reach up was a little bit too steep, and basically it would be no surprise, and we would be both buyers, but it would be no surprise to see it go sideways for a few days until the 45-degree angle basically catches up. This is like the moving average, but I don't use moving average because they're bullshit. But
by the way, and I think there's a good chance of it coming down to 95. You know why? Because Powell is already saying, hey, there are dangers to the economy because of this variant, and maybe they're not going to go very fast here. They're not going to go fast.
Their variant, they can take their variant and they can shove it where the sun don't shine.
I understand, but they're going to go slowly. Last week before this variant, they were talking about accelerating tapering and maybe 2 or 3 interest rate hikes next year. That's not happening.
I know. Well, hopefully, you know what, Andy, it's going to have to happen, because unless they get this inflation under control, which they're nowhere near doing, there's only one way to solve that problem. There's 2 ways.
Sorry, I sneezed. I'm muting every time I sneeze.
There's only one way that they're going to do it. Okay. Now, the euro currency, which we are short, we're long dollars. We are short the euro currency. Now, again, remember this. Okay. If you want to trade more actively, the euro currency is a much better product. It represents 56 point whatever. Andy will correct me when he gets done sneezing.
57.6.
Okay. 57.6. I can never remember anything when it comes to it. But anyways, this is much bigger. And I said to you last Monday, I said, don't be surprised if in the next week we see a penny or 2 move to the upside. Sure enough, Friday you got over a penny, okay, which is, if you look at it in dollar terms, if you're trading futures, it's $1,250 per penny, okay, for a full contract. That was no surprise. And today we came right back off, and basically, obviously, this looks almost exactly mirror image of the dollar upside down. And we're at a spot where I would look to sell it. But I will give you 112 as a support, which I am not a buyer right now, but I'm at 112 if I were in. and on a trade, I would be watching it to make sure that it would go through there. And my sell point right now would be, I would be happy to sell, believe it or not, right at 113, which is not that far away. It could be at 113 before this call's over. Okay. So it looks bad, but again, very similar to the dollar itself. It went down too fast. Again, the speed at which markets move is also important to understand, because if you understand the speed, then there are times that markets get caught speeding. Okay, they get trapped, and really what they do is they trap the market participants who become over exuberant to one side or the other. And what happens is you look around and everybody's, just say everybody's long, everybody's short, everybody's on the same side of the boat. Okay, and suddenly the markets stop, and they stop going in that direction. They don't necessarily turn around right away, but before you know it, you start to see a little panic and a little murmur, and suddenly it's reversing. Okay, because the steepness. So basically, you can look at this. So my guess is we turn around here for a while. I mean, I think this is going much lower, and we'll see. We are shorted, but if it doesn't, obviously I'd be happy to reverse. But as we come down, I would suspect that for the next couple of weeks, we could see, 111.50, 112 to 113, 113.50, and it could be in that range going sideways, which is still a big enough range to make money, but not trending. Okay, but the overall basis long-term trend is down. Okay, Bitcoin. Well, this has been quite the. This has been. I mean, it's always active, but this has been quite the active market to go nowhere. I mean, we said last week we would be not surprised if it went to 50,000, and it went down to just under 55,000, and then magically today it went up 4,000. Now we're short the Bitcoin, and next Monday, okay, is the introduction of the micro Ethereum. Okay, but when you look at the chart, you should be able to kind of identify by looking at this chart, where would I look to see it hold some support? Where should be some resistance? Okay, because these are only tools that will help you. The crap that you buy, the crap that they put online, everybody's watching the same stuff. It doesn't work. Okay, but if you look at this, you can look clearly and see that 52.5 or 52.50, 52.5 is pretty solid. Okay, that was the exact breakout spot on the last time we ran up. Okay, and resistance is about 62,000. So 1,000-point range. Is that, Andy, is that a lot in Bitcoin? I mean, a 10,000 point range, is that a lot in Bitcoin?
No, not even close. I mean,
50,
remember, in April it halved.
I'm sorry, go ahead, what?
From April 10th, April 14th, it had to June, it halved.
Yeah.
More than half.
And it wouldn't be surprised if it halves again.
Yeah, or doubles.
But I think there is one thing interesting that I would look at. For sure, I think it's doubling eventually. I mean, there is one thing I do find interesting is A, the market cap continues to grow, and B, when there is troubles, they do use a little bit of Bitcoin now. Now, again, I am not making it into the safe haven asset. Okay. I'm just saying that I do own some. Okay. Not enough. If I lost it all in Las Vegas, okay, at a blackjack table, I would lose just as much sleep. Okay. That's what I'm trying to tell you. I play with it. I own it. I'm hoping I own a bunch of what I hope is the next Bitcoin. Okay, because I missed the first train, but it's a big swing. But we do trade it, and we are shorted, and it's right now 52 to 62, basically. Okay, so cocoa, well, it's got creamed, and it has come down. Now, at the moment, we are short. We reversed it this morning. Okay, and it is at a key spot right here. 2378, 2370, 24. Now, historically and seasonally, Mr. Hecht, what does cocoa do this time of year as a rule? I know we had the December expiration.
Goes opposite the rest of the market a lot of times, but the price action's ugly here right now. I mean,
is there anything that typically happens in cocoa? Everything's got a little bit. I'm not a big believer of all that stuff, but there are some seasonality stuff that happens at certain times.
I mean, it's West Africa. They have plenty of crop here. It's equatorial, which means it's the same climate all year round. Right now it's just it's just not that interesting. I think
Because
supply.
you said, you correctly stated that cocoa would have some big movement because it was the
Right,
beginning of December
because of the
expiration.
December March roll, but that's over now. So I expect it to go to sleep, to tell you the truth.
Okay, well, that's the answer. Won't we see more X's on Fridays being flat over the weekends due to the concerns? No, I don't. So much has changed in markets. Okay, from information. When I first started trading in 1980 on the floor, there was actually some legitimate inside information. Okay, I never capitalized it, where I got 400 sheets of garbage, but there was actually some information, and they did not always have the reports calculated. In today's world, with the extended hours and with the Sunday night openings, you very rarely get that. Plus the fact that you've got circuit breakers. So no, I do not agree that there will be selling on the weekends on Fridays. Okay, there's so many things that have changed, but the biggest change in markets is the lack of margin calls, because when you're trading electronically now, it's not like when I was trading on the floor. I mean, in theory, I could have taken down the whole exchange myself, and in fact, my ex-partner, who passed away, God bless him, and in fact, I think it's coming up in 3 years, but he took down the Continental Bank in Chicago by himself. Okay, now he made it all good, but I mean, that's so now they've got it measured to a penny. There's the moves are no longer like that. You can never see another 19th of October of 87. Okay, again, the numbers you can see bigger numbers, but you'll never see a percentage like that. Okay, that's the point. It's not the number, it's the percentage. And unfortunately, the pundits love to use the numbers because they sound good. Crude oil, which we did talk about, but so now there was the big punishment on Friday. We were short going into that, which is a good thing. But of course, it came right down. And if you look at it, the chart, this was an area. Now there's more areas that didn't hold, but there's always going to be a spot that it's going to find some potential support. It found it. It was very much oversold. And I think the kicker, Andy, was, and I don't think anybody was watching except me, because that's all I got to do. But it had started to come back a little bit, and crude was only down about 850, going right into the close. But what I didn't realize is crude, every market closed at 1:15 Eastern except crude. It closed at 2 Eastern.
Right, commodity stayed open,
and it went down another $1.50 after it made the little rally back. And I realized, what the hell happened? It went down another $1.50. So the bounce today was easy. The sell-off from the bounce was easy. So now we see where it goes from here. Okay. The strategic reserve has no effect here. That's all.
It has nothing to do with it. But you can be sure that the administration will take credit for Friday's price action.
Well, God bless them. I mean, anyways, right now, today, 68 to 72.
Would it happen with him or without him?
Right. Well, it might not have happened, because if they weren't so dumb to open that SPR, it wouldn't have mattered. But whatever. I can't get into it. I got to keep my mouth shut. I'm like with my family. I got to keep my thoughts to myself.
This is a chess game. The next move comes from OPEC. I expect OPEC to say, I think they canceled their next meeting, but I expect them to say, you know what, we're not going to taper, or we're gonna decrease production a little bit because we're worried about the variant.
Natural, listen, of course they're going to do it because they want the money. Right. Okay. Cotton, look, it's breaking down a little bit. Now, this in my eye, we're still long cotton. This right here, in my eyes, this is a must hold area.
Yeah, by the way, cotton looks exactly like oil did before it had that big whoosh down.
And the other problem that I see here with cotton, okay, if you look at Friday's trade, huge volume, especially for a holiday, okay, and with no regurgitation, no bounce today, that's a little snarky. I would not be surprised if we reverse tonight. I don't know, so I can't say. But B, this is a very key, tricky area right here. We are short CL, yes. We've been short crude for a week or so. Okay. I could see this, if this fails, I could see back down to $1. Okay. Now, listen, let's not forget that it went from 49 cents to $1.20 or whatever it was. So, but again, we'll see. In the meantime, 111 is pretty key. Gold, gold got creamed, it was down, what, 7 days in a row now? 1, 2, 3, 7 days in a row. Now, I wrote this morning for Keiko, and I go, if gold is the hedge that everybody says is, how come it's down? Where's the rally? I mean, and of course, it is not a hedge. Gold is a hard asset commodity that at some point will be a potential use as a currency. Any disagreement to that?
No, not at all. You know what? Gold is doing whatever. Got up there, came down, 1800 pivot point. In my mind, going nowhere soon.
And I own it. Andy owns it. We own platinum. We're buyers of physical metals. We hold them. We store them. We're not looking. But when I'm trading, I can only trade what the trend is. The trend is lower. I'm short, and that's it. Okay. Now we are at a key support level. Now the real question here, and this is exactly on point to what we've talked about regularly. Okay. The downtrend that we get short on, the huge drop. Now we're consolidating. Okay. So the real question here is, does the consolidation lead to the continued breakdown, or does it finally find a bottom? That's what we need to see as the chart itself kind of smooths out.
Well, you know what? If the past price action is a guide, what we'll do is we'll have a false breakdown and then it'll come back.
Listen, I would not be shocked, but we can
right. That's exactly what gold's been doing.
Now, so anyways, gold, 1780 to 1800, Connie. Now, feeder cattle, okay, now they look great. Okay, but the action today, did you watch it at all today?
Yeah.
The action today, I watch it periodically because I was on RFD today, so I want to know what kind of was going on. I looked at it, was up like almost $1. I go, not bad. Okay. And because typically, as most investors will puke out their good stuff first and hold on to the dogs, hoping that they'll come back, which is exactly the wrong thing to do. So, and suddenly it was up, and then I went on RFD and it was down. By the time I looked over to talk about it, it was already down. But overall, I said it still looks pretty good. At 164, I'd still be a buyer. Okay. Yeah. I think it's going to make new near-term highs again. What do you think?
It looks good. It looks good. The feeders and the live cattle look good.
Now, again, remember that when you look at it, the parabolic move has to most likely lead to some consolidation.
And you know what else? For this time of the year, these prices are pretty high.
And they're very high going farther. And they peak out in June, which is correct.
Yeah.
Okay. So look, we're bullish, we're long. That's all I can say. And the hog markets, very choppy, very tenuous, but certainly still bullish. And we're right here, 80 is support. This is still a very high price for this time of year, but we're 80 to 85. And I'm long. I'd be a buyer, and until it breaks down and tells me differently. But again, you see assets go down that you wouldn't expect to go down in these panic moves because people want to get rid of their winners first. They want to cash the ticket instead of letting the winners run. It's as old as the hills. You never saw it before. None of your traders ever did that, did they? Now, copper is another thorn in my ass. Okay. Now it's doing nothing. Okay. Basically, where are we? We're kind of getting in a position to make a big move. Okay. And I know Andy probably believes it'll be higher, which is nothing would surprise me. We're short. Okay. But nothing would surprise me. But it is narrowing the band in which it's trading in. Okay. Which only tells us that a much bigger move is coming. So is the move to 5 or is it to 4? Okay. What say you, sir?
Short term, I would say 4 and then 5.
Okay, I could live with that.
I think there's a spike down in copper. If the markets look weak in general, and we probably will have some more bad news, and I could see copper go down and test $4, but eventually it's going to 5.
I'll be happy to look at that later. Twister. I can't do it now, but I will be happy to look at it for you later. And in the meantime, for my money right now, copper is like 430 to 450. And a pretty big range for copper. It's $5,000. So yeah, but we'll see. We're short. Coffee, gee, shocking that it had a sell-off today.
I mean, come on.
I mean, it's going to $3. It looks like to me. 250.
The trajectory is too much. I could see it pull back to $2 or $2.25 or $2.20.
Yeah, I would think 2.25. I think if it goes much lower than that, it could get ugly. But look, I think it's going to $3 like you do.
Eventually it is. Listen, it almost got to 250. It was overjuiced.
You get all this, and then besides the fact that all costs have increased to produce this crap.
Yeah, and the supply chain stinks.
What supply chain? Do we have one still?
No, the supply chain from Brazil to the rest of the world. And the labor force there. Brazil's got, I think they're second in the world in cases and third in the world in fatalities. And that's affecting it. And they got weather problems.
100%. Look, we got our own supply chain issues here, but we don't have any. Okay. In the meantime, 225 to 250, we'll see. We are long. Lumber, again, doing exactly what we thought. We said it last week. It's consolidating up near the top end of the range. Overall, it looks pretty good. Okay. And certainly, look, we don't trade this because it cannot be traded. Okay. But no surprise if it sits sideways for a little bit longer. And of course, Andy will tell us that it is not seasonal for lumber this time of year. Go ahead.
No, I mean, this is not the time of the year that where lumber rallies. So an $800 per 1,000 board foot lumber price is telling us something.
So
it's screaming.
So in the meantime, like I said, we don't trade it, but it is kind of a bellwether, kind of like copper. Now, these are all products that are used to build and all of this stuff. So look, but in the meantime, it's just consolidating. If I were going to actually set levels here, I'd probably say 750 to 850.
And that's
bad. Cattle itself looks great. Okay. And again, same thing. It got too far away from the mean and it pulled back a little bit, but it still made a high today before coming back. And we are still, of course, long. Okay. Now I'd look at this if, a pull back to 135 or even, 134 would not surprise me, but I think we're going higher. Now, obviously, there are things that can affect that, but we have no control over the things that can affect it. If they shut down, if there's a virus problem, which we don't know if there is or not. So, but barring looking at it straight at a technical standpoint, okay, it looks like it's going a lot higher. Any thoughts?
This looks pretty bullish. I mean,
I think can it go to 170?
I did to answer a question there in the chat. People, I'll tell you one thing. People are not investing their money in cattle. Cattle are moving higher because they're moving higher because of supply and demand fundamentals. That's my opinion.
Well, they move higher based on the charts, but the charts are great.
But I don't think there's a flood of money in investment dollars flooding into the cattle markets. I think that there's other more liquid markets where that makes a difference. I don't think it makes such a difference in cattle investment dollars.
I agree. Listen, they don't trade enough to make a difference.
Yeah. But the fact that they're going up is very telling. There's no investment money going into lumber.
Right.
Your hedge fund would be out of business in a week if you took lumber position.
I like the vault. Now, interesting, nat gas it popped and then it got waxed.
It's all about weather, Bubba.
So somebody asked me and I said, let me get your answer. Yeah. I said, obviously they're predicting a mild winter and that's going to slow the demand.
No. They're predicting a warm next 2 weeks.
Well, you know what I'm saying.
That's what it is. It's the next 2 weeks. So, in 2 weeks, you're going to see another. It was 550 on Friday. So it's 480 today. Right. You get a cold wave somewhere in Chicago or in New York or in Boston.
LaSalle Street.
Right. Boston, the thing will go right back up. By the way, last year at this time, the high was 330.
Now, for you traders, look, I don't recommend trading nat gas because it's thin, it's wild, and it's expensive. It takes a big account. Okay. However, I would look at this as a potential blow off to the downside, which means I'd look to be a buyer. And I will look at it tomorrow morning. If it opens much lower, I might step in for a trade. Okay. It depends where it holds, but if it comes down to about 470 or so and holds there on a down move, I might look at it because it is a blow up type of trade. Okay. So I mean, we are short. OJ, well, again, OJ, we were short, now we were long, and we've been long for a little while, and it's starting to pop back up. And listen, it doesn't look great, but it looks okay. And again, we're not concerned with what happened last year at this time or even 6 months ago. All we are concerned about is the current trend today. Okay. And in this current period. Okay. And anything we should know about the OJ market and going on in Brazil, because everybody looks at Florida, but we know it's really Brazil.
Yeah, nothing really. I mean, listen, you probably sugar and coffee were weak today. Frozen concentrated orange juice was weak today. The Brazilian real is weak today because the dollar's strong. Yeah, makes sense.
I hear a lot of cars that run on compressed gas. Chinese have a lot of cars that run on compressed gas. We don't. Why? I don't know.
You have a rear end in a car that runs on compressed gas? The answer is no, because you wouldn't be here.
Huh. Platinum, Papa Lima. Again, we don't trade this because it's too thin. We would be short if we did.
Oh yeah,
it looks awful. And I don't know. It looks like it wants to. It looks like it wants to test the lows again.
892, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels that way.
It looks that way. And look, I don't know. It certainly has gone down.
Well, listen, in March 2020, it went to like below 600. Who the hell knows?
If you take a look at the blow off, there's one. You got a little bit of a rally. Here's two.
And if it gets there, I'll buy more physical.
So listen, I get to buy 2 for 1.
Yeah, it's cheap.
Okay. Anyways, if you care, 940 to 1,000. Sugar, which we are now short. Unfortunately, we were able to sell into the rally this morning, which is always good. Okay. But,
that's with oil. I mean, that's moving with oil.
Right. And this is, again, if it breaks through here and the action, this is very similar to cotton too, right? We had the big blow off with no reverse rally to at least relieve some of the pressure. More sellers came in. Same thing here. So again, $19 looks to be pretty key. We're short from like 1950 or whatever. And, I would suspect that you could see much lower prices here, but overall, again, I can interpret this any way you want. Okay. We are short. That's my position. But also you could say, okay, well, the wider consolidation is from 1850 to 2050. So there's all kinds of ways to look at this, but all I care about is what the algorithms have us in, which is short. And that's what I'm looking at and reading. And by watching this price action, this is not very good, especially after a huge volume sell-off with not even a whimper of a pop. Okay. And silver, not as bad as gold and platinum, but still not good. Okay.
Give it time.
Here we are below 23, which was a pretty key spot. You have now brought 22 back into play, but you have to decide if you're trading it or if you're investing in it. I have no problem. In fact, I just got a shipment of silver. Not a shipment. I bought some silver. I bought some gold, and I just got it. And I'm not, listen, it's going right in the safe. I'm not even thinking about it. It is what it is. I'm not selling it anyways. But from a trading standpoint, I'm short. Okay. I'm short the future because that's what we trade. Okay. We trade paper, we accumulate physical. And this is something that's had a pretty steep drop. It is broken down. Now, if it bounces back, would it surprise me? No, I would suspect that 2250 to 2350 are the next levels to watch. 2250 to 2350. Okay. And the bonds, what a cluster these are. Now we got long the bonds and the notes today, and of course I got hammered. Now we bought them better than the highs, but they're tricky right now because they're all based on interest rates. Any thoughts on your end of these bonds?
Yeah, I mean, Powell did make a statement at the end of the day, which could make the bonds rally tomorrow. But listen, it's all interest rates. It's going to be all over the place. It's choppy. This is a market where we get chopped up.
Well, it's a very choppy market, and of course, it also is a fear index. This and the dollar are the true fear indexes, not the VIX. Okay.
Well, you saw it up three big figures on.
I'm sorry, what?
It was up three big figures on Friday.
Yeah. So one of the things that would concern me in general is the true lack of volume in this market, but it is what it is. Again, I can't make anything happen. It is what it is. We're long, and that's where we stand. So I would look at this. But I can certainly see 161 to probably 164. Okay. 161 to 164. And of course, corn. Well, corn was kind of lower all day, but it really accelerated and it popped a little bit. But overall, all I can do is just look at this. Okay, we're long corn, but just look at what's going on. It's just going nice, gently higher.
That is impressive, given what happened in oil. That corn didn't tank,
and that is the perfect trend to look at. And it did break up above. And if you look it up in your trading manuals, what's called an ascending triangle. Okay, it is breaking to the upside, which is very bullish. Now we'll see. I mean, we're still bullish and we're still long. And soybeans, soybeans were a little bit shocking, but they were up about 7-8 cents overnight, and then they got hammered later. But I said on RFD TV, I said, we were just sweating out 1180. We're at 1240. It's not like the world fell apart. And if I look at this, what do I see? I see we're right at some support right now, and I see an overall market that's trying to move higher. And everything looks to go. I would bet that we see a 13 before we see 1180 again. Any thought to that?
Yeah, I mean that's what the chart looks like to me. We're in an area right now that should be support.
Now, what should we be concerned about in the grains this time of year? It's obviously harvest is over or almost over.
Weather in South America a little bit, but I like the whole complex. I think it's going to be fine, and it's going to look bullish next year again.
Right.
And I think now is a time. It's a choppy time of the year.
I agree. Now listen, you're not getting an argument from me. I think you're right. I think it looks great.
I think the thing to be concerned about there is wheat,
which got hammered today. But look where it came from. Again, remember, we talked about this. It went up too fast. It's right now at a pretty key support level. Even $8 is fine. But in my opinion, I wouldn't be surprised to see a 9 handle in this, a 13 handle in beans, and a 6.5 handle in corn. How about you?
Yeah, absolutely. Wheat is the key one. There's a lot of stuff going on about around Ukraine, and Ukraine is a big wheat producer, and also the Black Sea ports are in Ukraine. So Putin is threatening all kinds of stuff. We got Russian tanks there, and that's also supporting the wheat market. Who is the biggest wheat producer in the world? The biggest exporter is Russia.
Who's the biggest producer, though?
The biggest producer is,
I don't know. I mean,
it changes each year. Some years it's the US, some years it's Russia, but Russia's the biggest exporter, and that's what's key.
And of course, they're the big.
Listen, Canada produces, Australia produces, India produces. They all produce because it's such a critical commodity. The EU produces, but Ukraine, Black Sea wheat is critical. It's a major hub, logistical hub. And if there's problems there, I mean, wheat can go to $14 if there's problems there.
Okay, Twister, for you before I go to the next recording, PPLT, which is a ETF for platinum. Oops.
It's gonna look shitty like platinum.
I mean, it looks bad, but I mean, look again, the volumes are minuscule. I mean, this is not very liquid to me. This has the same problem that platinum itself is. Certainly, if you want to buy it, I got no problem, but I would much prefer to buy physical platinum. Okay, unless you're trading it. Again, I trade the trend in these products, but in gold, silver, and platinum, I accumulate as well. Even if the trend is down, I can still be a buyer because again, I'm buying price that I'm expecting to see 10 years from now, not tomorrow. Okay. I don't think it's very liquid. I'd never be in a stock like this, but that's up to you. Okay. In the meantime, I wouldn't be buying it now either. I'd be looking for a spot to sell it if I traded it, but I don't. In the meantime, all right, let me stop this recording. and we'll get to part 2. And stop. My girlfriend speak to me about bull flags and ascending triangles. The captain's always got to give me, yes is still on. The captain's always got to zing me. He loves to bust my rockets. All right, anyways. What's up, everybody? Welcome aboard. It is the Monday Night Call, which has turned into the Monday Night Marathon. And welcome aboard. And there's our buddy, Jerome Powell, the devil we know. And again, Andy and I have agreed that it's much better. Whether we like him or not, he is the best for us at this particular moment. And we'll see. In the meantime, there is no call next Monday. Do not email me and ask me if there's a call. There ain't no call. We will be, actually, next Monday we'll be at the cocktail party, and we'll be getting set up and ready to go because the big event starts on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and we've got a big live stream audience and a big in-person audience, and got guest speakers. So we'll be in good shape. So there will be no call next Monday. Okay, so don't call me and ask me, because I'm gonna give you a couple of 4-letter words. In the meantime, no call next week. Okay. How do you play lithium? I don't play it, but Mr. Heck can tell you if there's a way to play it. Is there a way to play it?
What is it, Albemarle?
I don't even know. I know what lithium is. I have to
lithium is good, but it's blown. It's gone up a lot. There's a couple of stocks, but you can't buy physical lithium.
Okay. In the meantime, okay, every week we say thank you to our military, past, present, and future, and their families, because again, Andy and I both believe very strongly in our public servants, especially those who put their life on the line every day for us for no money. So as always, I salute you and I thank you. Okay. And the final variant is called communism. I had to put that in. Okay.
I like that.
Somebody sent that to me. I didn't send it to me, posted it in the chat room today. I had to share it because it is interesting. And so the new variant hysteria comes from the same institution that popularized lockdowns, previous COVID scares. What say you, my brother?
Previous COVID scare. It's the same thing. I mean, it seems like it's the same thing. As I said in the pregame, what we seem to be hearing out of South Africa is that it's more virulent, which means it spreads quicker, but the disease itself is much less threatening. So,
but I guess let me rephrase my question. Okay, I believe that this whole thing is more political than it is actually a problem, and I think that the politicians use it to create fear, to get money, to do things that we don't want them to do, but this is one of their ways of doing it.
The politicians use the news cycle to never, well, I think it was Rahm Emanuel who says never let a good news story go to waste, to use to a political agenda. So yeah, I agree.
Biden's strategic oil reserve release will mostly go to China and India. Now, isn't that stupid? I mean, why are we supplying China and India with our oil, with our strategic oil that is there for an emergency? Can anybody in the world answer that question for them? Okay. It's as dumb as dumb. Okay. That's all I can say. I mean, why am I going to sell my strategic? It's like me selling my last loaf of bread to somebody else so I can't eat. Okay. Antifa member who took axe to Senate office given probation and his axe back. How do you like that? How do you like what's going on here, buddy, big boy?
Yeah, axe back, huh? He got his axe back?
Given no charges, giving everything back. How you like this? Okay. How do you like the no penalties, the no
Must have been a nice axe.
I mean,
what can I tell you?
I mean, is it not a joke?
It's a joke. I have no response for that.
These guys are morons. Okay, and to look, let's disband the police so we can just have riots everywhere. I mean,
let's give everyone axes.
It makes me so angry that I can hardly talk about it. And Goldman slams the Omicron panic. The mutation is unlikely to be more malicious. No reason for portfolio changes, which is correct. There really whether you hedge, which is my preference because I think it's safer, or you don't hedge, unless your stock or your company is changed the fundamentals for the reason that you bought it. Okay. And in other words, I never buy on fundamentals, but when I'm looking to buy something, I want a company that has strong fundamentals that at least I think should be in business for more than a week. Okay. But if your portfolio is solid, I would not be a seller, and I would certainly never sell it on news. Okay. And Goldman, of course, is the smartest in the world. Now, I'm going to just turn the corner here just a little bit. Okay. However, they've also been known to say certain things to let their traders exit first because their customers or regular customers are in it for the long haul, but they need a short-term reaction. And that might also have contributed to part of their rally today. And we might see some selling later. I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying that, over the years, I have seen a lot of tricky stuff done by the huge players who have the money and can create the volume and actually trap people to make the wrong decision. Any thoughts, sir?
Hey, listen, Goldman is a manipulator, and there's no question. So, they come out and they say the mutation is unlikely to be malicious, no reason to change your position. They could be hammering the market, and then they say, oops, hey, we didn't know this, and then, the market falls away. But taken for the statement alone, I agree with them 100%. I don't think there's any reason.
Right. Did you make any adjustments to your portfolio?
No,
I'm kidding.
no.
But again, so look, as a floor trader, and I will wrap it up with this. When I was on the floor and when I traded in the OEX, which at the time was the biggest pit in the world. Okay. You could only trade within your group around you, basically. So a big banker or a big firm would go to one side and create a rally, some excitement, either long or short, while their big broker was waiting for the whole pit to get involved, and then they'd come in on the other side and do the opposite, which was the real trade they were trying to do. Happens all the time. Okay. In the meantime, Connie is back with her words of wisdom. She's been actually, through her sickness, she continued to send in the words of wisdom every week anyways, because she's dedicated, and I thank you. But you don't always win your battles, but it's good to know you fought. And, you can make, depending on which side you sit on, you can make that case right now. Okay. And, look, she always has the perfect, you're like the ice cream guys from City Slickers, the perfect flavor. Anyways, and of course, her new category, which is the State of the Union, think while it's still legal. Okay. Now, you guys laugh at me and you say I'm full of crap and I don't know what I'm talking about. But in my 65 years, I have lost a lot of freedoms over those 65 years. And unfortunately, they continue to take them away. Any thought, my brother?
No, I mean, this form of government that we have now, that's definitely possible. And it seems like they're going every day, a little bit more. It's kind of like edging that way. But we get to vote next year. That's it.
Now, as you know, I've been bitching all day, but I got one last one. I forgot what it was already because I had so many, but I forgot what this was. But let's see what I wrote. Thanks for responding. And this is, and I don't know how many of you are affected by this spam mail. Okay, people begging for money, or I forgot my money, or whatever. I did this, I did that. I'm sure. I mean, I get probably 20 emails a day that are total scam trying to get into my computer. Okay. But in the meantime, I answered this email, okay, because I knew who it was. Okay. And I go, really? And I can only tell you, first of all, nothing pisses me off more. And the response was something that I would normally never send to anybody, but I did send it in my own special Chicago verbiage. Okay. Because this is an imbecile who's asking for money from me. Okay. Anyways, so as we look at, of course, we'll go back to now the major indices and see what's going on. And of course, the Dow, Yankee Michael. Now we are now short the Dow. Okay. We are short the Russell. Okay. But so the sell-off was not a surprise. Okay. The bounce back was not a surprise. Of course, it was right from a great blow-off pattern. Okay. The real question is how far does the rally carry? In my eyes, I would be thrilled to sell at today's highs. Okay. 32.3, I'd be a seller. Support obviously is 34.8. I'm not a buyer. Right now, I'm not a buyer at any price. Again, and that precludes active day trading. But as a trend as a whole, I am a seller, and I'm looking for 35 for 35.3. Okay, that's basically was the high today, and I would love to sell it there again. Okay, yeah, the IRS emailed you a link, right? Okay, so 34.8, 35.3, the S&P, Echo Sierra. Again, very similar, but we are still long. Now, notice the difference in the patterns. Okay, oops. Look at the more of a breakdown here versus the exact trade. And again, we talk about pattern recognition a lot. Why? Because look at this. This still looks like it's an uptrend. Okay, so you have to remember that just because they're indexes doesn't mean they always have to go exactly at the same time. Okay. Does it mean that the Dow is wrong or the S&P is right? It's going to change? Nobody knows. Okay. Again, it would be of my opinion, and this is an opinion only. I think there's a better than even money chance that we get a repeat of December of 2018. However, whatever the algorithm position tells me to be in, that's the position I'm going to be in, no matter what happens. Okay. But from when I look at this, I go 45.60 support, which I would still be a buyer, and 47.20 resistance. Okay. And the NASDAQ, November, Quebec, which we are still long as well. Look at that. Now, again, big crush, sell off, and actually today took care of more than the losses were on Friday. Okay. But really, we're stuck between 16,000 and 16,400. How about that? Okay. And we are still long. But it's pretty obvious right there, 16,000 to 16,400. Okay, and we are still long. And of course, the Russell, which I'm sure does not look too good, and of course it doesn't, which is why we're short. Okay, now the Russell looks like it could go to 2,200. Okay, it could go lower, but right now the next stop would be about 2,200, and I would say probably 2,300 is the upper end. Okay, now they're wide ranges, but why wide ranges? Because the faster markets move, the more ground they can cover. Okay, you're not trying to pinpoint with a scalpel here. You are trying to catch the general range and knowing how to set your stops if you use them. Now, we don't use them in our portfolio models, but when I'm day trading, I do use them and knowing how to set them. Okay, in the meantime, 22 to 23, but I would be definitely allowed to be a seller, maybe even at 22.80. Okay. Again, I would have no problem selling the Dow and the Russell at today's highs. Okay. And of course, we mentioned this earlier, but we'll just take a quick peek because that's always part of the beginning. But the VIX, as I warned, I said, look, when you get these big spikes, they never last. It's over for the moment, and certainly bang. Right off the excuse me, right out of the gun, they got clobbered. Okay, they opened down 4 points on the open, which is what, 5%? No, it's 10, 12, 20%, right? But where were we at? We were at 29. So it was 15% or so, right off the gun. Before we even opened, it was up 15. It was down 15%. Okay. And again, it got clobbered, and it looks like it's going right back down to 20. Any thoughts on the volatility, sir?
No, I mean, this thing's going to be up and down and all around. It's, it spiked Friday. It spiked Friday because people panicked Friday in the options market. And today was a calmer day, so not a surprise.
Right. 100%. All right, anyways, into the world of stocks and, of course, our positions, our holdings in Apple, Alpha Papa Lima, which we've been long, we're still long. And again, I don't know I don't know when we won't be long anymore, but we are long for today. And certainly 157 held like a champ. And here we're right back in the middle. Okay. And as I said to you last week, you can see right there, I drew it in for you. The up move was a little bit too sharp. So sideways action was called for. And I would have no problem being a buyer at 157, 157 and a half, 150, anywhere in this area. I had no problem buying it. Looks like we're going to make another run. And I know the captain wants more pretzels from me at 170, but you're never getting that bet again. You got it once. You beat me. I paid. Okay. And that's it. In the meantime, we're kind of in the middle of nowhere, but we are long. Okay. AG, a new one we cover. And of course, this is silver. Interesting. A big blow off to the upside and price and volume and higher when silver was lower. Interesting. Okay. Any thought there, kid? Why the minor was higher?
No, I guess maybe a little bottom fishing here, but silver's kind of, like you said in the pregame, it looks a little better than gold, but silver scares me because it's always the one to kind of move after the fact.
I agree. Now let me make a statement here for everybody. Okay, the reason AG is in is only to be a buyer at some point. I'm not really a buyer yet. I can say 1150 to 1250. I'm never going to short it at 1250. Okay? I don't short $12 stocks. That's just everybody's got their own Michigas. That's mine. I don't short stocks that I can't make a package in. Okay. I'm not getting involved in a 1250 stock as a short. Okay. I don't have enough money to support it and keep pouring it in. I'm not Bill Ackman. I'm willing to lose billions of dollars on some stupid trade. I have it here because when we do get a big reversal in silver, it's a great way for those who don't want to trade the futures to participate. Okay. And I think it's better than SLV in my opinion. Okay. In the meantime, we don't carry it in any portfolio either. AMD, Alpha Michael Delta. Well, we're still long and it's still going up. And gee, look what happened. Oh, it consolidated and then it broke to the upside. Oh, shocking. Okay. Basically, what you're looking at here is probably, 155 would be really good support, but even potentially 160. But you're only looking, okay, to be a potential buyer of this. You're not a seller, I hope. Okay. And after it had the straight up explosion, went sideways. We actually got short for a day or two and then reversed back again. But you are now getting a much steadier move to the upside. So we're long. Okay. BABA, Bravo, Alpha, oh, you evolved. And we're short BABA, and it continues to go lower. Now, at some point, maybe Charlie Munger will come in and buy some again, or at least announce that he's buying some again.
Buy it back from what he saw.
I like I said, when they give their full disclosure, and I forget when that comes out, but I'm going to bet you that they sold a bunch into right after their announcement that they owned it. Okay, I don't know that for a fact. That's just speculation, but this is from the way I look at things. This could be making some sort of a bottoming pattern here. Again, I don't predict bottoms and we are short, but I could certainly see a bounce from here. And until proven otherwise, I look to be a seller at 140, okay, and 150 until proven otherwise. But 140, 150, I'd be a seller. I'm not a buyer, but it looks like there's pretty solid support at about 130. Okay. Bido, which again, to me, it's still too new for me to want to trade it yet. Okay, but we are covering it because it's another entry for those who may want to get involved in cryptos, but not get involved in the actual cryptos themselves and use an exchange product. This is the one ETF that is directly correlated to the futures. Now, I always have a problem with these because the funds either don't know. I'm going to ask you this question. Either they don't know or they refuse to adjust for the formations of backwardation and contango. And typically the customer gets screwed. Your thoughts?
I don't think they understand the forward curve in Bitcoin.
Okay.
I think it's too new a market to understand.
But I mean, even in some of the other, USO, every USO, that thing went to the toilet. Okay. It never came back.
Yeah. Well, that's a different.
Anyways, so we're watching this. Look, again, when it becomes really liquid and really tradable, we'll trade it. Again, I'm showing you some alternative to trade this. There's no levels here yet. BitQ. Okay, now this had a nice little pop today, but it has been getting clobbered. It came all the way back from 36 to 29, 28. We don't have this in any portfolio. I personally own this. Okay. I would certainly be looking at $28 if I were looking. Again, this is more if you want to play the crypto space. Okay. The options suck for now. Okay. They're not, I know one of you are going to say you trade them. I know you do, but they suck and they're not liquid and you get ripped off. Okay. So I can't do anything of the options market yet. They only have quarterlies. And so eventually they'll have weeklies. Eventually they'll become active and then we'll be able to trade it that way. Right now it's just a stock. And again, I own it. I bought it at 22 or so, and I'm never selling it, at least not for the foreseeable future. It's the same as me holding some Bitcoin, but it does not look very good at the moment, but it might have found some support about 28. So again, this is only some of the stuff we talk about, like the next one also, is just things that we think can happen that are ways for people to participate in some of these markets. Okay, but this is, as Andy calls it, this is Bitcoin soup, which has about, 30 or 40 different Bitcoin products inside of it, like Mara and Riot. CGC. Okay, now, CGC, we do carry in one portfolio and we are shorted. Okay, and it's going lower. Now we have seen more action here, and I said a couple of weeks ago or a month ago that I thought something was going on here, and I still think something's going on, but it does look pretty ugly. But for anybody other than those in the portfolios, this is a way, if you believe that they are going to federally legalize pot. That is the only purpose for this stock for anybody other than who's in the portfolio models. If you have a hunch, a belief, you want to play it, this is the way. But Andy and I both believe that the reason that governments have not approved it yet is they're waiting for their gang. They're waiting for their boys to put these little guys out of business, okay, because of their cash burn and because it's almost impossible for them to do business. And eventually they'll run out of money. And then income swooping will be Altria and ones just like that, correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So again, this is strictly other than the portfolio. We are shorted, but this is one of the spots we would look at, okay, to play news. Chewy, Charlie Hotel Whiskey Yankee. We are short this as well, and it did bounce right from 64, which is what we thought. We said 64 to 72 were our levels. They are the same. Now we are still short this. It's a great company, but sometimes great companies still go down. That's why you don't worry about the fundamentals. I didn't give levels on BitQ, but I will go back and give them to you. Actually 28 to 32. I don't have to go back. Okay, I know them in my head. Okay. The pot stores with their listener supply, they get plenty of supply. A lot of them get their own, and they're all part of a chain. Okay, but anyways, this is a great company, but they went through some rough times and the stock has got clobbered. But, a lot of things are going to get clobbered in these markets. And, when, nobody knows. What's going to be the eventual cause? Nobody knows. There'll be some excuse given, but certainly some will sell off long before the actual collapse happens. And I'll just give you one quick example, excuse me. In 2008, Amazon traded down to $30 in November. Okay, I bought it. Okay, and of course, me being the great trader that I was, I sold it at 45. What a hero! Of course, now it's 3,000. But what But my point is, by the actual collapse of the market in the big panic of 2009 in March, Amazon was already 60. Okay, so not every stock will go straight down, and some have already are predisposed. And I'm not saying this is one. I'm just saying that's what we look for. We are short, and it's still 64 to 72. Okay, but we both love it. We're both customers.
Yeah.
Coin. Well, this did exactly what we thought as well. It came down to 300. Okay, and it bounced. Okay, now considering that we are short Bitcoin, considering that things don't all look great, considering that it looks like it's potentially in a downtrend, would it surprise me if it went below 300? No. Would it surprise you?
No.
No. Are you panicking at below 300?
Actually, no.
You're buying more, right?
I like this stock. Yes, I'm buying more.
Right, exactly.
I mean,
I
I'm long this stock at 220, and I love this stock. And this stock is, I think this is, I think it'll make a new high eventually.
I have a hedge position in it, but I agree. Listen, look, as you know, I'm a big believer in the crypto space. And we'll actually,
CME and ICE of crypto.
I'm sorry?
I said it's the CME and ICE of crypto.
Right. And look, it's going to be something. And trust me, okay, I do have some inside information. Okay. There's going to be an easier way to trade so many of these cryptos besides the exchange products as well. There's going to be an easier way to get into the actual 24-hour day, 7-day a week future products, okay, which some of you will hear about in Las Vegas. But in the meantime, okay, look, 300, 330, okay, and that's it. We'll see. I mean, we do not have this in the portfolio. It's a little bit too big, but I would certainly I certainly would have bought it at 300. I already own it, which I did buy some at 300 because it went down. But in the meantime, it looks pretty good. Curl F, again, this looks awful, as it has looked awful for 6 months. Okay, going straight down. This is the retail chain out of Massachusetts, American company, which is why we carry this. There's purely American. Okay, I assure you, if you look at some of the marijuana stores in your neighborhood, if it's legal there, you will see in small writing underneath the name Curaleaf. Okay, because they're big. Okay, now again, they got a big problem, a big cash burn. The whole story, they got no options, which takes me away from it. And I can't, and I would buy it. Just full disclosure, I would have bought it in my retirement account, but I'm not allowed to. Okay, the firm that I use does not allow this ETF, not because it's pot, just because they don't have some of these types of securities in it. But again, if you're playing this, you're gambling on a federal approval of pot. Okay, there is no levels to give you. DraftKings, Andy, I'm calling a bottom here. Okay, we don't do that, and we're shorted. Full disclosure.
Yeah.
And I both are own it, but in the portfolio,
I just said that I bought more today.
I'm calling a bottom. I'm calling monkey.
Yeah, listen. I think all the gambling stocks went down today because of this issue in Macau. You heard about the issue in Macau.
I did not, but tell me.
Well, the issue in Macau is that the Chinese arrested one of the biggest junket organizers in Macau.
Okay.
I think it just affected the whole, the whole.
No surprise.
Yeah,
I mean, this has been under a lot of pressure, obviously,
Yeah.
since it got to the 60 level and then the 50 level. I'm calling bottom. Now, again, don't go out and buy it because I call bottom. I own it. Okay. I'm short it in my portfolio as a trader, like gold. I own it in my long term and I'm hedged against it. Okay. So I'm not telling you to go out and buy it. I'm actually kidding. It's in a downtrend, but I think that this looks very bottomish to me. In the meantime, it's 35 to 37, which is another sign that potentially a bottom's here. Now, could it go to 30? Yeah. Could it go to 20? Yeah. Okay. But right now, this tighter consolidation suggests a much bigger move, and that move could certainly be lower. Certainly the algorithms think it's going lower. But from an old-fashioned trading view and the industry that they're in, I think it's going to go higher. Yes, sir? You had something?
No.
That was a sneeze. Okay. Anyways, so 35 to 37. Okay. Fast, Foxtrot, Alpha, Sierra, which we are short. And of course, we did very well on the initial burst. It popped a little bit. And again, this is directly correlated to banks, which is directly correlated to interest rates because that's their key component. The higher the interest rate, the bigger the spread, the more money they make. And again, as I look at this overall, it's kind of just chirping between 125 and 140. It's kind of in the middle of the range, and that's kind of what I see. But we are short. Okay, but nicely bounced from the blow off from Friday. Okay, you wouldn't have bought it at 125. If you had bought it, you might have bought it about 127. Okay, but today I did get to 131. So again, just remember that. That's part of understanding how the markets work. Facebook, Foxtrot, Bravo, which we are still long and have been so for a while, is really in the middle of nowhere. It's still in the same range, which is 330 to 345. Okay, there's nothing to where am I going? That's where it's at. I can't remember, you cannot change the pattern that the market trades in. Okay, this is the pattern. It's stuck 330, 345. Will it make a big move? Yeah, it's going to make a big move. Okay, out of here. Which way? I don't know. First of all, I got to put Meta up there. Oh, it is up there. Meta platforms. Okay, that's part of the metaverse. So
that's his
it's going to
bet.
make a big move out of here one way or the other. We're long, so I'm going to assume it up, and it's 330 to 345. First Solar, Foxtrot, Sierra, Lima, Romeo, which we are short. And again, this looks almost like Facebook. It's stuck between 100 and 112. Okay, we're short. We're about mid-range. Where am I going to go? I'm already in. I've already got a short position. I got nowhere to go. Obviously, one might think that these solar stocks would be doing a lot better considering what the government wants to do, but they're not. But they're still, listen, certainly it's had a nice move from 76 to 100 and change, but the trend has changed. And right now, I would be a seller. You know, I think it's 100 to 112. GDX, which again, this is not one that I trade. Okay, we don't have it in any portfolio, but it's one we put on for some of you gold folks who like the miners. And you know, this is the least amount of steroids of the ETFs. Yeah, look, it's kind of held up. You know, 32 looks like some support. You know, is it going to break from here? It could. I mean, look, if gold breaks down from here, which it very well could and should, this would go a lot lower. Okay. I mean, you know, you had the announcement last Monday was not good for gold, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So, but overall, gold itself is a good long-term holding asset.
Yeah, I think the Fed's going to backtrack probably because of this variant, because it fits into their dovish desires. And that could lift gold.
31 would not surprise me. Okay. 33 would not surprise me. Again, I don't trade it, so I don't really have, you know, but 32 is okay too. I mean, it looks okay at 32. Goldman Sachs. Okay. Well, they sold off a little bit, but they, again, heavy sell-off, bounced and came up. But basically, okay, Goldman, we are short, and it's really just stock 385 to 400. Now, certainly I could make a case for 395. And if I did not have a position, and maybe I do, depending on how I got back to 395, I might sell more. Okay. I don't have a problem with that. Okay. I never have a problem adding when it's right, or when I think it's right. Anyways, 385 to 400. IWM, India Whiskey Michael, which we are short. Okay. And obviously the big gap down, and certainly the lack. Now, again, if we look at the other indexes, they all had a relatively nice bounce today. This couldn't even get off the first base. And I think by the end of the day, the futures actually closed barely higher on the day, but they were down 100 and something at one point after being up huge early. That is not a very bullish looking chart, the actual futures. So that tells you, I can't see this symbol. What is it? Which one? Honey? Did I miss that? I was old. I think I meant GDX. Yes, I'm sorry. GDX. Golf Delta X-ray. My bad. Okay. Anyways, you know, look, we're short, and I would have no problem selling more 320, 226 right up here, right where it's at, just about, you know, a little bit higher, a little pop. I would suspect that 220 will hold it for a moment or two. Again, when I give you the support, even though I'm looking to sell, those are areas in which I would expect the market to pause, either up or down. When I give you resistance, okay, it would be where, if I was in a downtrend, it would be where I would think it would slow down and where it should reverse back. Okay, so for right now, 220 to 226. Mara, this was interesting. This had a late day rally, but when we look at the chart, and this is a Bitcoin miner company, when we look at the chart, it's in the same consolidation it was last week. Okay, the big breakdown. Now we don't put this is no portfolio. It's just when we trade. We've been following it since $6. Okay, and watch it overtake Riot and do the opposite. But in the meantime, it's consolidated. I mean, to me, it's 50 to 55. I have nothing else to say about it. Okay, you know, 48, 50, you know, right around. That's about the levels. Today's late day rally, you know, I looked at it, it was up and then it was down. And I looked at Riot, and suddenly Riot was up like $2. And of course, it sold up a little bit. But in the meantime, 50, 48 to 55. This is just another way to potentially play the crypto world. Okay. A new one we added last week, and this is into the pot arena. This is an American ETF on pot stocks. Okay. We don't trade it yet, nor am I recommending it yet. But again, it does have better and more liquid options. It does have weekly options, if I remember correctly. And eventually we will look at this to make some trades in it, especially if we can get a whiff or something. But in the meantime, right now, we're just kind of tracking. Okay. And for now, it looks to me like it's 27 to 30. Okay. NEO, November India Oscar, which we are short. And it's really like many other things, even with the big sell-off on Friday, it's consolidated. Okay, that's all. Consolidation is a very real part of markets. In fact, markets consolidate 65% of the time. Okay, so this is absolutely no surprise. Okay, electronic vehicles, Chinese, we'll see. We're short, it's 38 to 42. Nugget, gold on steroids, again, it's breaking down like gold is. And I think you're probably at a key spot. And I think if you go through 48 on the downside, I think you better duck. Okay. Now, right now we're holding up okay. It held right around 50. And that I don't know that there's any real levels to watch right now. I would watch the 50 level. Okay. To see what happens. I am nervous about China stocks overall. Why would you be nervous? They're discounted. They're buying at a discount. You and Munger are discount buyers. Look, China is going to be fine. The U.S. is going to hopefully going to be fine. Okay. These things have a tendency to work themselves up. Okay. If you're trading them, it's one thing. And the only concern with China stocks is this, the very real fact that like Luke Coffee, unfortunately, they're not obligated to report results correctly. So you can get trapped that way. But overall, I have no problem. I mean, again, I would look for value if I was looking. Okay. NVIDIA, only up $18. Gee, what a shock. Okay. And NVIDIA, we're long, but I want you to notice exactly what we talk about almost every week. Okay, it really would have gone nowhere. If you'd have gone in a coma for 3 weeks or 2 weeks, you go, oh, it's right where it was when I went into a coma. Didn't tell you that it moved $35 both ways. Okay, this is consolidation, and this is relieving a market that went parabolic from 240 to 320. Okay, this is not a shock. Okay, it has to find equilibrium. Okay. That's what you're looking for. It has to find equilibrium. Okay. And when it does, okay, it will resume, or make the move it's going to make. But right now, it still has not really found that equilibrium, but it still isn't a very strong uptrend. And 310 to 335 are pretty good. 335 is a high. So Penn, Papa Echo, November. And of course, we have this in our portfolios, and we are shorted. Now this, Andy, I'm not as optimistic on this chart pattern as I was on DraftKings. What about you?
I agree. It doesn't look like you got to have it.
It doesn't have the same kind of bottoming action, right?
Doesn't, yeah.
Okay. I mean, it's in a tight range, 50 to 53, but it does not here. I'm going to show you what I'm looking at. So I look at this, I go, not so great. And I look at this, I go, oh, that don't look so bad. In fact, it looks like it's trying to lift off from down there. So we'll see. Again, we're short both in the portfolios, and that's all that really counts. And 50 to 54. The Qs, Quebec. Now we shorted the Qs. Now this is the interesting part of the algorithms and trading and what we do. The ETFs and the futures don't always trade in lockstep in the same day. Okay. And there are many reasons for that. Now, just to give you a quick, brief explanation, but I'm not going to go into a long-term thing here, but the ETFs, the official mark time is 4 o'clock. Okay. The futures of mark time in the equity side is 4:15. There's a difference. Okay. And believe it or not, that 15 minutes could be very big, and it could be the difference in a signal. And so in the meantime, we are short this. Okay. And so based on the fact that we are short, even with today's big rally, I would have no problem taking a short position at around 400. Okay. The chart itself is 388 to 400. Riot, Romeo, India, Oscar, Tango. Well, it is acting a little bit better, and it's actually a little bit better than Mara. Okay, same type of joint. Okay, but this was the interesting thing is they took turns. Riot was much stronger than Riot, went to 80. Mara went to 60. Mara just went to, I don't know, 70 or 80, and this only went to like 30. So in the meantime, it's 31 to 40. Okay, and this is pretty much correlated with Bitcoin. Okay, we don't carry this in any of our portfolios. Roku, Romeo, Oscar, Kilo, Uniform, which we remain short. But if you remember last week, I said 220 is the key. And if it goes below there, you better duck. Look, well, for the whole week, we've been right at 220. Even with the big sell-off on Friday. In fact, this wasn't even down that much. Or it wasn't even down on Friday. But it's in a tight range. And again, this would be a pattern that is not bullish. It's very neutralish. Okay. It's somewhere between Penn and DraftKings. Okay. But we're short. So for right now, I'm 220 to 230 though. Okay. Or 235. But I'm not aggressively looking to do anything here right now. I'm already short. Okay. The SPY, Sierra Papa Yankee, and of course, like the Qs, the SPY's reversed today. Now the good news is we sold into the rally. Okay, the bad news is that the rally continued. But again, based on all the work we do, 470 is the resistance level, and I don't see support down until about 455. I'm not a buyer. I am a seller only, except for the positions I own in my hedging. But certainly I would have no problem selling at 465, maybe 468. Okay, but 470 is the top. Okay. Square Dance, Sierra, Quebec, okay, which we are still short. And notice once again, we were watching this level here, and again, it broke below, but immediately came back and held, around the 210, and we popped a little bit. We're up to the, got up to about 220. I would have no problem selling at 220. Okay, but I can see I could make a bullish case now. Jack Dorsey is retiring, or what is he doing?
He left Twitter, and he's just going to concentrate on Square.
Okay, so I look at this, and again, I don't trade this actively because it's expensive to trade, and the options are not great to be active in it. But for me, for my money, this is 210 to 230. Okay, Tilray, the last of our pot gambling stocks. This is the one I prefer the most. Because they got the best options to trade, because they have Canadian and U.S. exposure. Okay, so but again, you get federal legalization on pot tomorrow, these stocks are going up 5 times. Okay, agreed. Yeah. So I don't give levels here. I mean, I own a position here, but again, I'm long, but I'm pretty protected. But it's not in my hedging account. It's just strictly I'm gambling. Okay. Tango, Quebec, which we also reversed today in our short. We're really just in this consolidation. So what these signals are telling me is that the rally, although we had a nice rally today, may indeed be over. Okay. Now again, we could reverse. We could lose money here. There's no guarantees of anything. But what it's telling me is that there are a lot of warning signs that this is the top, and we could see some heavy selling. And of course, that could change in a heartbeat. But for looking at it at the charts, 160 to 175. Tesla continues to churn, but the ranges are getting narrower. So last week we were looking at 960. Now it's 1,000 to 1,200. Okay, doesn't sound like a lot, but it's a big percentage move in. And if you look at it even tighter, 1080 to 1160. So you've got more than likely Tesla has a very big move coming again. Which way? I don't know. It certainly looks bullish. Okay. Their cars are great. You know, Elon Musk is great. So I suspect it could be higher. I don't trade anymore. Full disclosure, I lost too much money, so I don't trade anymore because I was always trying to short it. The VIX, Victor India X-ray, excuse me, Victor X-ray, my bad, wrong one. Okay. We are long this now, and we got long this morning. We got a break here as well with the big break on the open before we had a chance to get in. But the reason we carry this in the portfolios, which we are now long, is for one reason. It's for the up moves. Okay, you don't make as much on the way down because these are basically just big options that disintegrate. When they get to a certain point, they stop going down. But when they do go in your direction, which is up, they go up much faster. Okay, as you notice, when it went to $28 on Friday, okay, and it's right back down to 22. But for now, the new resistance has to be, let's say 27, and support is still 20, 21. Okay. When this goes right to your story from before, Andy, we are short when, okay, Whiskey Yankee, November. And this goes right to your story. I guess they must have known something on Friday, or did the story come out Friday? Do you know?
I think it came out today.
Okay, so this is where I talk about news. Okay, the markets already had the news because you can see the gap lower on Friday and the continuation today. That wasn't the market. That was the markets knew something. The Duke brothers knew something. Okay, and you know, and we got short, and I would suspect that you're probably looking at 80 or so as some support. Okay, and resistance is like 88. So we'll see. XBI continues to fall, which looks horrible. Okay, if I were, I don't trade this anymore. If I did, I'd be a seller at 120, not a buyer at any price. This is a very bearish look, by the way. Long-term consolidation followed by a break to the down, and of course, zoom. Okay, which we are short as well, and of course, continues to work its way lower. And as I said last week, and I'll say it again this week, if it breaks this 200 barrier, duck. It's going dramatically lower, in my opinion. Okay. Anything you got to say about Zoom, sir?
No, I mean, you know, I don't think this pandemic thing is coming back anytime soon, so I wouldn't be a buyer of this stock, and I don't like the trend.
Is Zoom a great company? Is that what you're saying?
It's a good company.
No, I'm talking. Actually, there's a questioner. I know what you think. Do you think Zoom? I don't know if Zoom's such a great company. I mean, I like them. I use them, but I use them because they're cheaper. I like what they do. Look again, but I think, you know, the industry itself gets saturated with these different things, and you know, people start. You know, you've got, you know, similar versions right on Microsoft and right on Google. Now they're not as good as for the big webinars, but you know, listen, I don't know. Look, I have nothing against the company, but the stock itself, I think it could go significantly lower. Okay, Zoom profit 18,000 in 7 weeks. Nice trade. Okay. So XPEV, somebody want to know about XP X-ray Papa Echo Victor. This looks pretty good. I mean, this looks very solid. And this is another Chinese EV company. The chart looks as good as it can get. Okay, they don't get much better than this. Okay, certainly, I could see, you know, a little bit of a pullback or some consolidation, but certainly, if I traded this, which I don't, I could certainly look to be a buyer. Okay. GTLB, Golf Tango Lima Bravo. I can't look at that. It's too new. Okay. And I can't, I don't know what they do. Not that I care what they do, but I have no idea. This is way too new. But obviously this was the IPO. It popped again, and then it peaked, and now it's coming down. Looks like lumber. You know, if I were trading it, I might look here, but I don't trade it, and it's not enough information for me. Okay. MTTR, Michael Tango Romeo. Michael Tango Romeo. That's had a big blow up today. I get no matter what, chart looks great. Okay, but no matter what, I would sell it if there's a way for me to short this. and it was liquid, I'm not bearish, of course, but I would be playing the blow off pattern. Let me just look at it real quick. I can never get my stupid ass mouse to work. I can never find this son of a bitch. Where you at? Where are you hiding it? Oh, it's over there. Okay. Get over here so I can get this screen open. I don't know. I'm sorry I can't look at it right now. But in the meantime, if it has liquid options, I would be, oh, there we go. I would be looking for a spot to short. I've never seen the company. I don't know who they are. I don't know what they do. I can only see the price and the pattern. And no, I could not trade. Okay. But certainly I'd be looking to sell it if I did. Okay. Anyways, but it looks great. I mean, from a long-term view, it looks great. Okay. Let's see here. SCYX. Where do you find all these? Sierra Charlie Yankee Kilo. I didn't type that wrong. Obviously, there's something wrong there. Sierra Charlie Yankee Kilo. I don't know. You got it. Oh, Yankee X-ray. My bad. So one more time, I might get it right. Yankee X-ray. I don't know. Looks okay. It depends. I'd like to see a trade. Oh, it's $7 stock. Leave me alone. Please don't ask me about $7 stocks. I don't want to hear about them. Okay. We don't trade penny stocks here. Okay. So don't give me the $7 crap. Okay. Please. Romeo Bravo Lima X-ray. This is your last. Oh, you're okay. You can ask. This looks pretty good. I mean, it popped nicely on earnings. Straight up. Pullback is natural. I mean, I like this at about 115. Okay. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, if you're going to hedge it, I don't even know if it's hedgeable. 125 is the first big support. Okay. And you also gave me a what you call it earlier, lithium, LTHM. I want to look at that real quick. Lima Tango Hotel Michael. It's pretty good. How do you like this? Yeah, this looks pretty good for a lithium stock.
Yeah, that looks good.
Look, this is
ALB.
ALB. That's another one. This is a really good looking chart. Okay. 29 looks like it's real good support. Looks like it wants to break the upside. I'm gonna have to look at this. I'm gonna have to look at this for myself. ALB. Also, it looks almost, they look alike. They look alike. Yeah. But this is 280 versus 29. I like the other one better. This looks great. Okay. Solid uptrend, consolidating, which you would expect.
That's the big one.
Yeah, it looks great. Okay. It looks like it we bought. Okay. Amazon, really? You must be rich. Amazon, Alpha Michael Zulu November. I mean, it continues to, no matter what happens, it continues to churn to the upside. Okay. Certainly this consolidation pattern is no surprise right here after making or making a double top or reaching a top, because really a double top and uptrend is really not a double top. But you know, listen, I don't trade this, but if I did, I mean, 3,500 would be something I'd look at. 34, 33. Okay. I'd certainly be looking to buy it, not sell it. SLI, Sierra Lima, India. Sierra Lima, India. Another $10 stock. Where's some of you guys with $10 stocks? I don't look at these. These are for gambling, not for trading. If they're in your long-term portfolio, you should go see a doctor. Okay, unless you know you're gambling on. Okay. I mean, these are penny stocks. There's a name. The reason they're called penny stocks is they can go back to a penny in a second. And this chart looks fine. Okay, but it's not. If you have this in your portfolio, you should not, unless you know you're just taking a shot for X amount of dollars. Okay. Thank you. You're welcome, sir. I appreciate it. And glad Connie's feeling better. Me too. Okay. Because she's been picking on me, so I know it's good. Okay. GE purchased the future since they're selling off the. Okay. GE I would never touch. I got a personal bitch with them, which saved me a lot of money because I never had to get in, but they broke me once. So I mean, you want me to look at it, I'll look at it, but GE to me has got no value. They'll never have any value ever again, in my opinion. Okay. I mean, this reverse split is just an excuse to sell more. You know, everybody talks about the banks and how strong they are. Remember, Citigroup, whatever the price of C is 1/10 of that in reality. Okay. Citigroup is a $6 stock just in reality. Okay. It was a 1-for-10 split. So just keep that in mind when you look at these prices. Okay? I have no interest in GE. I think it only goes to zero. Okay. I think it's a worthless company. Okay. And that's it. As of today, are now calling me a long timer. GBTC, those are crypto, but unfortunately, many brokerage houses don't allow you to trade them, which is why I don't cover them. Otherwise, I would. Okay. Actually, the captain talked about GBTC when it was about 12 or 14. I couldn't buy it. So I'm bitter about that. But this looks pretty good. You know, it's going to follow Bitcoin. ETHE, that's got to be Ethereum. Echo Tango Hotel Echo. Looks okay. I mean, it looks great. It looks like Ethereum. Okay. Thanks for a great call. You're welcome, my brother. All right, kids. Well, look, again, it looks, LAC. I'll do one more. LAC, Lima Alpha Charlie. It sounds like the LA Chargers. They suck. This looks the best of all. This is popping the best of all. In the meantime, look, we're in a very interesting time. Okay. There's 3 weeks left in the trading year, even though there's 6 weeks next to the end of the year. Because I'm telling you right now, the December triple witching option expiration is the end of the year for traders. Every trading desk will have a skeleton crew after that. Okay. People go on vacation now. We're at a very key time in the way the markets are trading. They could make a huge move in either direction from here. Okay. Now, again, our position is kind of neutral. So I would just call it kind of neutral. I don't know. I believe we could see a breakdown or a breakout. And I think that'll be the key when you're watching this, if you're watching it at home. Okay. I think the real key will be, can we get to a new high? Okay. Or does it make a lower high here or right around here and start to head south? Again, those are the things I'd watch, but it does not, we are not ready to yet become aggressive. Okay. We are not yet ready. There are times to be aggressive and there are times to be passive. This is a time to pick your spots and wait for your opportunity, and don't try to outguess the market. You will find out you are not in good shape. Don't take the warm air back to Las Vegas coming through Friday. Okay, I'll try not to, but I don't need the warm air there. I love the environment. I love the 2 hours I save because I get up at the same time anyways. And to all of you, have a great week. Look, we will see you 2 weeks. Okay, no call next Monday. We will see you in 2 weeks. We'll have a great time in Vegas. We'll be live streaming it, which will be great. I can't wait. And Andy, feel better, my brother. And I'll see you tomorrow morning.
Just text me.
Is my chauffeur.
Text me.
All right, guys. No call next week. Have a great week. We thank you, and we'll see you later.